Tekken 20, Season 1, Episode 5. Setting up Desmos to work with the Chameleon and Mantis Braille displays from APH.
CATT, Center for Assistive Technology Training Northwest.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Tekken 20. Today's topic is setting up Desmos to work with the Chameleon or Mantis Braille displays from APH. Eli Sanchez, who is one of our CATT Northwest tech trainers, is going to be our guide today. Okay, off to you, Eli.
Awesome. Okay, friends, thank you guys for coming again. So we're just going to walk through a couple things real quick. So the first one we're going to start with is just a quick overview on how to add a Braille display to JAWS. And then we'll move on to how to actually work with that Braille display in Desmos. So real quick, I'm going to slow the speech down.
Slower. Title is Screen Sharing.
Okay, so I'm going to take us over to the desktop.
Desktop. Folder View List View. JAWS 2025.
Hit enter on this icon here for my JAWS.
JAWS Professional.
We're going to drop into the menu bars with the Alt key.
Menu bar. Options.
We're going to go down to Braille, so down arrow.
Basics. Voices. Braille.
Hit enter on that.
Leaving menus. Braille Basic Settings dialog.
Okay, so this real quick, I'm just going to tab over here to add a Braille display.
Add Braille display.
Enter there.
Select component.
And then just for fun, I'm going to add the APH Chameleon, so I'm going to hit the letter A right here.
APH Refresh Braille 18 not checked. Boom Pronto. Boom Super. Boom Vario. APH Chameleon 20 not checked.
We're going to check that box spacebar.
Checked.
Hit enter.
Select the Braille display that you want to use each time you start JAWS. If the Braille display does not,
And then enter again.
JAWS Synthesizer and Braille Manager dialog.
Okay, so this is where it's prompting me to restart JAWS. I won't make you guys sit through that, so we're going to just use the one that's already connected here, but I'm going to press enter here.
Braille Basics.
And then I'm going to tab over to OK.
Advanced Show. Run. OK. Cancel. OK button. JAWS Professional.
All right, so at this point, if this was your first install for a Braille display, you would restart JAWS with the Braille display connected. Again, I won't make you guys sit through that, so on my end over here on the Braille display, and this applies to Chameleon or Mantis, on the Braille display itself, I'm on the main menu, and I am going to press my right thumb key until I land on terminal. You could also just press T, and then hit enter on terminal. And then one of your options is connected devices, press enter on that. And then the other option will be USB connection, press enter on that. I forgot I had to actually plug in my cable, you guys. So we're going to plug that in real quick. There we go. And we are live. Okay, so now we can confirm that here. I'm going to go to the desktop again.
Screen sharing.
Windows M.
Desktop.
And as I go through the desktop here, I can also feel, and you can see on the Braille display that we do have functions going on. So this is awesome. Another thing that we're going to do real quick is we're going to go into the JAWS Settings Center. So that is caps lock 6 if you have the laptop keyboard layout active.
Windows OS-JAWS Settings Center dialog.
And then we're going to go to the default profile, so to Control-Shift-D.
JAWS Settings Center-default.
And then we're going to type status.
JAWS Settings Center-D. Placement of status for search results list box. Placement of status cells left.
So these status cells, they're really not needed at all in the Braille display. So right now, by default, it's set to left. I'm going to press my space bar here.
Right to none.
And then we're on none. We're going to tab over to apply.
Read-only apply button to activate.
That. Tab over to OK.
Read-only OK button. Screen sharing.
Now, what this does, it's super important. This is actually really cool and an important step, because what this does is it allows you to free up 5 or 6 cells, depending on what window you're in, that are reserved for those status cells that nobody uses. So this lets you unlock your full amount of cells that you're working with. All right, let's head over to Desmos here.
JAWS Professional Desmos vertical bar beautiful.
So I already have the web page open, but if you just open up Google Chrome and go to desmos.com, and then you'll be on this web page here. So I'm actually going to go over here.
Beautiful free math head.
To the graphing, or the, yeah, we'll use the graphing calculator. Why not?
At Desmos, link open graphing calculator. Desmos vertical bar Desmos vertical bar graphing calculator.
Okay.
Expression 1.
Okay, so this is important real quick. So we're going to go back to the settings center because we cannot use grade 1 or grade 2 output and input here because we're going to be using math. So we got to change the input and output to computer braille for the braille settings in JAWS. We do that by doing caps lock 6.
Chrome-JAWS settings center.
And then see how on the left-hand bar, the Chrome is the only one selected. That's perfect. So I'm going to type in the word input.
One search results list box. Input U.S English grade 2.
All right. It's grade 2 right now and press space here.
Computer braille.
Computer braille. I'm going to tab over.
Apply button.
Apply.
To act one search read only OK button.
Okay.
To act dismiss vertical button.
Now what's cool about that is it also changes the output to computer braille automatically. So this
virtual
is perfect. So now
express edit.
I'm going to go onto this braille display over here and type in 5
X quote plus 4. 5 quote X quote plus X quote plus 4. 5 quote X quote plus 4 has graph. To audio trace, press Alt plus T.
All right. So this is, oh, sorry. I'm forgetting something real quick. So what's going on here, this tripped me up yesterday too. So what's going on here is on the braille display, it's coming up just as it is being said in JAWS. It literally says 5 quote X and then the word plus 4, right? I want to see it in Nemeth. So we're going to do the key command Alt N right here for Nemeth.
Edit. Number 5X plus 4. Type in text.
Now on my braille display, it's really cool. This now shows me what it looks like in the style that I'm used to seeing Nemeth math on it just in standard braille. So I can read right here on my braille display 5x plus 4. But on something like with 6-key entry, you can also type it in the same fashion. So I'm going to go ahead and do the key command Alt-T here.
Graph paper. X-axis visible from -10 to 10. Y-axis visible from -7.85282 to 7.85282. Grid lines are visible on audio traceable curve. Graphic. Audio trace on. Use arrow keys to navigate. To hear the graph, press H to disable audio trace. Press Alt plus T expression 1 intercept at X:0, Y:4.
Okay. So we can hear the graph with the letter H. What's really cool here too is that I also, apart from my braille output, I also have audio output. So I'm going to press the up arrow.
X:-0.2, Y:3.
I can read this on my braille display alongside the audio output I'm getting.
Intercept at X:0, Y:4.
Here we go, 0 and 4. So this is really cool. So if I hit escape here,
expression list region, edit, number 5x plus 4.
Then I'm back in the expression list. Let's see. All right, we're cutting it close here, but I'll show off the last pieces here. Right away, when people do this, we notice a couple things. So one of the things that trip us up is the fact that we have the computer's trying to show us things that are highlighted, and it does that by putting the cells, the cursor cells, at the bottom of the braille display. Oh, actually, yeah, cool. So then we can do caps lock 6 again.
Chrome-JAWS settings center dialog.
We're going to type in the word hi.
Hi. 12 search results list box. Hi. Indicate smart glance highlights on highlight checked. Braille marking Braille.
So we're going to uncheck that box right here for Chrome.
Not checked. Highlight pattern 100.
And then
highlighted text color unavailable. Custom highlight. Configure highlight colors. Read only edit.
Tab over to
apply button. 12 search. Read only. OK button.
Okay. So this is also another important thing because what this now does is allows you to read just the words without having all of the cursor stuff at the bottom showing you what's highlighted on the page. In actuality, since you're not doing all that much editing here on the internet, you really don't have to see what's highlighted all the time, just because since this is a single line Braille display, anything that is spoken by JAWS will be put on Braille. And if it's spoken by JAWS, you know that it's already highlighted. If you were editing, so the reason I did it for Chrome only and not system-wide is because if you're doing edits on a document, you do want to see what's highlighted, right? So now I can go to the top of the page, Control Home,
dismiss,
hit the letter E,
edit, number 5x plus 4.
And then I'm hit enter here.
Dismiss vertical bar graphing calculator. Dismiss graphing calculator.
And now
expression
I can see,
list region.
I can see a clean version of my Braille display and also the clean version of just the equation here without any extra clutter. And all I'm seeing right now is the flashing of the cursor below my 5, and then I can carry it across. See? So now I'm pressing my cursor
5
keys.
X plus 4.
There we go. Let's see, did I cover everything? I did. That was impressive. I didn't think I would cover it all, but we covered a Tekken, what is that, a Tekken 14 ting?
I don't know. I think that means you get less pay, maybe.
That might mean less pay. Yeah, I hope I'm not
So,
forgetting anything.
I was thinking as you were going through the demo, Eli, how there were several teachable moments. So even at the very beginning, when you first got to the Desmos graphing calculator, and there was that little audio reminder, like to turn on audio trace, here's the key command.
Yeah.
I always love taking a pause when I go through that with a student to say, oh, hey, did you hear that? What was that?
Oh, yeah.
Because it's a really great moment that you can grab onto during your lesson, guys, to tune up your students' ears. Because what I have found is sometimes there's so much auditory clutter that our students tend to zone it out when they hear the screen reader. And one of the first key commands I teach when I introduce a Braille display is I call it the shut up key because it's be quiet, screen reader.
Oh, yeah.
And the first key command I always teach is that control key. And it's so handy because it keeps that student feeling like they're in control of the tech, that they can control how much it speaks. But on the flip side of that, understanding that control key, sometimes the students hit it a little bit too soon because they are zoning out on a lot of that information. So I just want to encourage you guys to figure out where these moments are, where you might want to slow down the pace of the instruction and point out when that student really does have to pay attention to those little tips that the screen reader gives.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like just learning to listen to kind of like the structure in which JAWS gives you information is its own skill.
Okay, so Neil says in the chat, good to remember that when you're changing the option settings, if you open and change while focused on Chrome, it changes the behavior in Chrome. If you are on the desktop, it changes your default JAWS. So this is really interesting because while Desmos is a web-based tool, that's super interesting that it actually changes those behaviors outside of Desmos.
Yeah, one thing you reminded me is I did forget to cover. So the only thing that we change that I would change back when done with Desmos is your output. Go back to the JAWS Settings Center and change the output away from computer braille and back into grade 1 or grade 2, whatever is better. But everything else, like the highlight, the status cells, all that stuff, it's things I do when I do installs for individuals right off the bat, just because it's a quality of life thing. It's just a lot easier to read on the internet without having everything filled up with cursors, and also it's nice to have your entire Braille display opened up. Whereas if you had the status cells, you would have, 35 or 36 cells instead of the full 40.
Eli, since we've got about 2 minutes remaining, can you run us through that again and
Let's
just
do it.
do a quick little refresh on how to return those settings back to your recommendation?
Okay.
Sharing.
So we're gonna go
Desmos vertical bar graphing.
back into Desmos here.
Desmos.
We're gonna
Participants can
do
now
in caps lock 6.
Chrome JAWS settings.
We'll do input right here in the search
Input.
box. Tab over.
One search results list box. Input computer Braille.
Press space here.
U.S. English grade 2. 2.
I'm a grade 2 reader, so we'll tab over.
Apply button. One search results list in search box
And then we can
edit.
check our output just to be sure.
Blank.
So output.
One search results list box. Output U.S. English grade 2.
Cool. So when you change your input, it usually changes your output automatically also.
OK button.
So
To activate, press
OK.
Desmos vertical bar.
Now this will now act a little funky on Desmos, but it is so much better for pretty much everything else that isn't math related here. And also another point I forgot to make was when you do the Alt N for Nemeth here, if you navigate away from Desmos and you come back, you'll have to do that Alt N again to activate the Nemeth mode. Cool. Here, I'll
Screen share.
navigate over here and we will stop the screen share. There we go. Cool.
Great. Thank you so much for that demo today, Eli. You made it in under 20 minutes. Congratulations. And I just also put in the chat, you guys, there will be a step-by-step write-up on how to connect a Braille display to a laptop or mobile device. That step-by-step write-up will be added to our website. It should be going live by this afternoon, okay? So I know this sometimes it is a lot of information to parse. Remember that if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you'll get a notification when the video posts. And for anybody who didn't make it and you think might benefit from this information, please encourage them to register and also follow the playlist. And what's nice about the video format is you can always pause and rewind and pause and rewind and go back. So with that being said, thank you for taking a pause out of your day. And we are going to take a break for a couple weeks from Tech in 20 as we head into the holiday season. We are going to resume on January 7th. So we'll see you all in a few weeks. Wishing you all a great holiday, safe travels if you're going somewhere, have a restful time. And that's it for Tech in 20 today, where we meow at your tech needs.
The contents of this video were developed through a partnership with the American Printing House of the Blind, APH. CATT-NW is based at the Washington State School for the Blind, WSSB. Logos, WSSB and APH. The contents of this video were developed under a contract authorized by the Department of Education. However, these contents do not necessarily represent the policy of the Department of Education, and you should not assume endorsement by the federal government.